Good morning class, Saira. Today we are going to start our next chapter, that is ray optics. In this chapter we will start with topic refraction of light. You know topic reflection is already removed from your syllabus for this year. So we will start from here. So understand what is refraction of light. Okay, refraction is what? That is a phenomena of change in the path of light as it travels from one medium to another medium when the ray of light is incident obliquely. Okay, so it is saying that suppose if we have a medium, first medium is rarer, or you can consider air or vacuum, and another medium is denser. Denser means you can consider glass or you can consider water. Okay, it should be denser with respect to rarer medium. Then in this case, if your ray of light incident on obliquely means at some angle with normal, in that case it is saying that it get deflected. Okay, whenever ray moves from rarer to denser, it moves towards the normal, means from original path it will deviate towards the normal and it will suffer a refraction in this way. Then again when it moves from denser to rarer, then it will move away from normal from its original direction. Okay, so this phenomena is called refraction. Now understand that there are two laws of refraction. The first law is that the incident ray and normal and refracting ray surface at the point of the incidence all should lie in the same plane. Means this is your incident ray and this is refracted ray and this is normal line. Okay, and all these three should be in same plane. And second law is what? For a given pair of media and for light of a given wavelength, we can say that ratio of sine of angle of incidence to the ratio of sine of angle of refraction is constant. Means you can say that sine I upon sine R, this angle, sine I upon sine R is constant. And this constant mu is called refractive index of the medium. And I is the angle of incidence and R is your angle of refraction. Now we have some important points like mu is what? Mu of optically rarer medium is lower than that of denser medium. And mu of denser medium with respect to rarer medium is more than 1 and that of rarer medium with respect to denser is less than 1. For air or vacuum we consider mu equal to 1. And third point is that in refraction velocity and wavelength of light will change. Okay, or you can say that two things are there like one is frequency, and here also it is mentioned frequency and phase. These do not change. And one more definition for mu we have that mu equal to speed of light in air, that is Ca, upon speed of light in medium. Okay, so in terms of wavelength also you can write mu equal to lambda in air upon lambda in medium. Next we have principle of reversibility of light. Okay, it is saying that whenever any incident light falls on oblique surface or obliquely at any particular surface, then it will follow a particular path. Okay, now suppose a mirror is placed in its path, then what happens? If your incident ray falls at 90 degree to the mirror, it will reflect at the same angle. Okay, and it will retrace its path. So this is called principle of reversibility. Next we have refraction through a parallel slab. Okay, in this case we have a slab of glass. Okay, this is your slab of glass and here refraction will take place. Okay, now understand, suppose this is your incident ray, first ray, and this ray incident at this particular point. Okay, angle of incidence is I1. Then refracted ray will be this one and refraction, angle of refraction will be R1. Suppose thickness of the slab is small t. Okay, then we can say that when this ray will fall on the second surface at this point, and at this point this angle I2 will be your incidence angle, and refracted ray will move away from the normal. You know, this dotted line is representing your normal, and your refracted ray should move away from normal because it is moving from denser medium to rarer medium. But one more thing we can say, that by alternate interior angle, this I2 angle and this R1 angle both are equal. Okay, so we can conclude one thing from here, that this angle I1 will be equal to R2. Okay, if we apply Snell's law over here, we can say that refractive index of rarer medium into your sin I1, okay, and refractive index of denser medium into sin R1 will be equal. And here also I2 and R1 are equal, so we can apply that mu of denser medium into sin I2, or you can write R1 equal to this outside angle, sine of this outside angle sin R2 into refractive index of air. From here you can say these two LHS side are equal, so mu to mu will be cancelled out. We can say that sin I1 equal to sin R2. Okay, and we can say that I1 equal to R2. That means these two rays are parallel to each other. But we can see there is a lateral shift in this case. This Y is called lateral shift. Okay, this blue dotted line was original projected line, and this Y is lateral shift. So we have to determine this one also. For that, you can see this particular triangle. In this triangle, its name is not mentioned, but you can understand in this triangle your sine delta will be how much? Sine delta will be perpendicular y upon this hypotenuse. Suppose its name is x. Okay, y upon x. This is your equation number 1. And in this triangle, this one. Okay, in this triangle, your cos R1 will be what? Cos R1 will be base is t upon this hypotenuse, that is x. From here, equation number 2, you will put value of x in equation 1. So you will get sine delta equal to y upon x, and x is t upon cos R1. Okay, so from here you can write that sine delta equal to y cos R1 upon t, or this lateral shift can be determined from here. Y equal to this t will be cross multiplied, and it will become how much? It will become t sine delta upon cos R, cos R1. Okay, and this delta angle is how much? I1 minus R1. By vertically opposite angle, we can measure this delta equal to I1 minus R1. So this is our final relation for lateral shift. Next topic we have to understand, that is apparent depth of a liquid. Whenever we see that if we place any particular object in a denser medium and we try to look it from top, okay, in that case that real thing always appears at a higher distance. Okay, from surface we can say its apparent depth becomes less. So this is called apparent depth concept. And how we can calculate? For that, you need to understand that from object, one incident ray will go in this way, and at this point it will move away from the normal, because this is your normal, and it will move away from the normal in this way. Okay, and if you will join this, then this ray will appear that it is coming from this point O dash. So this HA is your apparent height, and this object height HR is your real height, or you can say real depth. Okay, so now we will do two things. In this triangle we will calculate this 10R, and we know that 10R equal to perpendicular upon HA, and here 10I will be perpendicular upon real height HR. If we will divide it, then we will get 10R upon 10I. Okay, that will be x to x will be cancelled out, HR upon HA. and tan r upon tan I. For a small angle we can write it sin r upon sin I. Remember, for a small angle these values are equal, and sin r upon sin I by Snell's law we can say for this situation will be mu. So this is your formula for real depth and apparent depth, that mu equal to hr upon ha. Next we have TIR, or total internal reflection. Now suppose if object is placed in a denser medium, then first ray that is going normal to the plane, it will go without deviation, or it will go straight, and the second ray that is going in this way, this is your incident angle. Okay, we know that it will move away from its path like this way. And third ray, if we increase our angle of incidence I, then angle of refraction will also increase. Okay, now it may be possible that at any particular angle of incident, that is IC, your refraction angle is how much? 90 degree. Okay, so this particular angle is called critical angle. Now if you make your ray incident at an angle more than IC, then you can see that your refraction angle will be more than 90. So your ray will move back into the denser medium only. So this phenomena is called what? TIR, or total internal reflection. So here we have some conditions for TIR. That conditions are: incident ray must be in optically denser medium, means object should be in denser medium. And second condition is that angle of incidence in the denser medium must be greater than critical angle of the pair of media in the contact. Okay, this angle of incidence, it is saying this should be greater than IC. Only then your TIR will take place. Otherwise normal refraction phenomena will take place. Now we have relation between critical angle and refractive index. We know that in this diagram only we can see that for situation number 3, for this particular situation, if we apply Snell's law, then we can say that mu into sin IC equal to 1 into sin 90, because our angle is 90 degree. So sin IC will become 1 by mu. Okay, so this is the relation, that mu equal to 1 upon sin IC. Remember, this mu is of denser medium with respect to rarer medium, that is A mu G, or mu of glass with respect to air. You can determine your critical angle in terms of wavelength also, because we know that refractive index and wavelength are related to each other, that mu is inversely proportional to your wavelength. Now this formula, one more formula we have, that is called Cauchy's formula, and it says that basically your mu is inversely proportional to lambda square, or in actual form it is A plus B upon lambda square, and so on, where A and B are Cauchy's constant. So basically if your lambda will be more for the particular light, mu will be lesser. For example, you can understand in your prism section, if white light is coming, white light means basically 7 colors. Okay, for red color, we know for red color wavelength is very very high, so mu will be very very less. So red color will deviate lesser and violet will be deviate more. So Wave-Gyor pattern appears in this way. Next topic we have spherical refracting surfaces. So a spherical refracting surface is a part of a sphere of refracting material. What we have, that we have a spherical material like a glass, and if we cut a particular section from this glass, and then we can get a spherical surface. Okay, so here we have two kind of a spherical surface. One is that surface which separates rarer medium to denser medium, and its shape like this, convex. Okay, and second is its shape is like concave, and it separates rarer medium to denser medium. And this C is basically center of curvature of this sphere from which this spherical surface is made. Okay, and this R is radius of curvature. Similarly, here we have center of curvature and radius of curvature. Here you can see this P point is called pole, and C point is center of curvature. APCV, that is principal axis. Line joining center of curvature and pole is called principal axis. Now we have some assumptions, that object is the point object lying on the principal axis. The incident and refracted rays makes small angles with the principal axis. The aperture or diameter of the curved surface is small. Then we have some sign convention also for taking distance. And first sign convention is that incident ray is taken from left to right. All the distance are measured from the pole of the refracting surface. Distance measured along the direction in the incident ray are taken positive. And again, means ray is going towards right, then towards left distances are considered negative. Okay. And the vertical distances measured from principal axis in upward direction is positive. Like in plus y direction we will take positive height, and in minus y direction we will take negative height. So these are 4 sign conventions. So in the next class we will start from here, that is refraction by a convex surface. Okay, we will try to derive expression for refraction. So that's all for today. Thank you. Sai Ram.